All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Tuesday. Mike Carver along with Doug Kezirian as we're getting you ready for all of tonight's action. Huge college basketball slate. We got a couple games in the NBA. There's a little Olympic hockey going on right now with the United States women up 4-0 on Canada. Can we get two more goals in the third period here to push us over this 5.5? We shall see. And we'll start to get ready for the men's side of things as they will face off tomorrow over in Milan. But Doug, I am not going to bury the lead. 5 out of 6 with the daily double as Santos and the Grizz get home late night for us. Let's go.
That was really wire-to-wire cover for the Grizzlies, so well done. And the line moved against you, which was very strange. So I don't think we've ever done a same-game parlay for our daily double. So we're trying new ways, We're getting there either way. But Santos got there, 7.5. It took a little bit to get there, but we're good. It's nice. It's nice because we were seeing the ball really well. We were just alternating a lot, right, throughout the season. But nice that we've aligned our 2 stars, albeit for several days, 5 of the last 6, as you mentioned.
Yeah, we had that little stretch there where, everything else aside from the best bet for one of us was clicking and we just weren't getting the right best bet in there. But now stars are aligning and we've hit 5 out of 6 daily doubles, 2 in a row as we get going here tonight on a Tuesday. All right, let's get into it. Tons of college hoops this evening. And you know what? Before I even get there, quickly from last night, Doug, how about Kansas again at home on a big Monday under Self, getting the job done, giving Arizona their first loss of the season. Unbelievable game. And hey, you had it. Arizona first half, and then Kansas got the job done in the second half.
It's weird. I probably wouldn't have done the first half had I known Peterson wasn't going to play. Typically when that happens, the favorite team sort of relaxes a little bit and the underdog, pesky underdog at whatever, plays well. But hats off to KU. Played great for 40 minutes. I thought Arizona threw a lot of punches at him. This wasn't a lethargic, flat performance by the Wildcats after finding out KU's best player was out. So really good basketball, especially in the first half. Incredible shot making. And I wonder, do you have to start thinking about Peterson as the number 1 overall pick, or at least doubting that, just because of his inability to be healthy? Now, this was a illness or whatever you want to call it. It wasn't an injury, but it's one thing after another, and it's not like it's a clear-cut number 1. So either way, Arizona gets a loss, as I've said, and I'm by no means reinventing the wheel here. I don't think Tommy Lloyd wanted to be undefeated going into the tournament or any sort of postseason play. So I think this is a good thing, so to speak. But Bill Self, we touched on it yesterday, 38-0, now 39-0 at home on Big Monday. But I think this stat's even more impressive. Now 16-0 in top 10 matchups at the Fog.
Wow. Amazing. It really is the job that he, of course, continues to do there. And they will play again later this month in Tucson. We will have a return matchup between Arizona and Kansas later on in the Big 12 season. All right, let's get to tonight. Lots of ranked games do we have to go through. Why don't we start just after 7 o'clock East? Number 13, Purdue, and number 7, Nebraska, getting together in Lincoln. Right now at Bet Rivers, a pick'em in this game, 147.5 the total.
This is a really good game. Obviously, Purdue, for the last handful of years, has been sort of the cream of the crop in the Big Ten. Nebraska's the new kid on the block, but they've answered so many calls. I've been really impressed with this Huskers team. They are not just a flash in a pan and a lopsided schedule or anything silly like that. And I think they showed me a lot. It took care of business, a little backdoor cover for Rutgers on Sunday, or Saturday, I should say, if you depending on the number you got. But really impressed with the first halves at Michigan and against Illinois when they were shorthanded. And obviously they've had some big wins. And I really changed my tune that second half against Minnesota. They went on the road. We're getting everyone's best shot. And they just whooped the Gophers in the second half. So I lean here to the Huskers, the home team here. Not a huge play. I just don't know how healthy the Purdue front line is. I think Braden Smith's been great. He's going to be difficult to guard. But I really like this Nebraska team. It's going to come down to shot making like it typically is, but really that's the calling card for the Huskers. You can't really handicap that a ton, but I like Nebraska here at home. I think they know they belong. It's not just sort of that little engine that could season. I really think this team's legit, but we'll see. I mean, Purdue's really good too, at times at least. I think Purdue's going to hit their groove come postseason play. I don't know if they're going to be able to flip the switch here.
So Nebraska first half, Steve says there. So Nebraska first half, eh? They must be watching the Canada USA women's hockey game with the A there in the back. So Nebraska first half, eh? So that could be really good one tonight in Lincoln between Purdue and Nebraska. I like the Cornhuskers as well at home. They have proven time and time again that they are for real, as Doug said. So I will get on board with that. Next, North Carolina, off the huge win over Duke on Saturday night, now has to go to Miami to see the Hurricanes. Now, the Hurricanes are 18-5, Doug, but to be fair, they have beaten nobody. I mean, you just go and look at the teams that they have beaten this year. They have no really big wins, honestly. But yet this line, little scratch your headline for me. -1.5 for the Tar Heels, number 11 in the country. I'm smelling a little bit of a trap here, Doug. Is this the Hurricanes?
Well, I don't know if it's a trap. I just think it's a spot play. Miami, like you said, a little inflated record. They're kind of on the bubble, right? I just think it's a total spot play for me against an incredible emotional win in the rivalry, and I love it. I just think this is what handicapping is. I mean, even Ken Palm, the metrics have UNC by 1, and that's in a vacuum, right? That's just the math. So I have to play Miami. I'm going to go first half here. They're not the best free throw shooting team, so I get a little worried about late game situation. And I would guess the flatness is pronounced in the first half. So I would take the Canes in the first half here. Again, it's really hard to maintain that emotional high off such a big win. So I'll go Canes first half here.
And the first half, of course, is a pick, as you see right there. 74.5 is the total in the first half. I'm going to go with the Canes tonight to get what would be, honestly, their first big signature win of the season for Miami. This would be a really big boost for them. As Doug said, they're on the bubble, and they could use this tonight at home against North Carolina. More Big Ten for you. Wisconsin taking the trip to Champaign this evening, just after 8 o'clock East on Peacock. -10.5 for Illinois, 152.5 the total.
I know sharp guy on the dog here, and it certainly makes sense. Whiskey has the size at least to prevent Illinois from dominating the front court and the paint. Obviously, Illinois is a really special team. I like them to win it all, to be honest, in terms of the futures market when you factor in the price of the odds. I think we're going to see some points. This Illini team, obviously, pretty volatile. They can beat anyone. They can lose to anyone. And I think it's just going to be a high-scoring game. The Illini have figured out a groove offensively, so that's why I would look to the over. Not a super strong play or anything like that, but that's where I sit. And but it's a lot of points. It's a lot of points for for this game.
It does seem like a lot with the way Wisconsin's been playing, right? They've been playing some good ball recently. Tough losses, good wins. Man, 10.5. Illinois is real good. It's a tough game for me. I'm not going to be involved, Doug. I'm passing on Wisconsin and Illinois tonight, but I will be watching, of course, as we know. I'm not passing on the next one, and I can already hear our friends in the chat box here on Betting Weekly Live. They already know it's coming. Vandy at Auburn tonight, just after 7 o'clock East on the SEC Network, and you know why, Doug. What do we got here? The unranked team favored at home against the ranked team with Auburn -2.5.
Well, I would defer to you on this one, right? This is your wheelhouse, but I'm going to go the over. I think we're going to see some serious points. This Vandy team wants to push pace, will light it up, and I think Steve Pearl's crew will run with them. I'm not sold on Auburn yet. It's on the road for Vandy. That's a much different ask. Go figure. Obviously, he mastered the obvious there. I just think we're going to get points. It's going to come down to the wire. I guess I would lean to the Tigers here if I had to. I mean, that rule of thumb is not disappointed in the long term, but I think the over is the play I prefer here.
Yeah, we could definitely see a lot of points. 160.5. That is up there for us tonight, but up, up, up and away. Look, for Auburn, it's just simply for me, the number and being at home in the unranked. You know that I love this stuff. Vandy is coming off the tough loss to Oklahoma. That does worry me a little bit for them to get back out and at it. Auburn lost to, I think they had the Alabama game over the weekend, right, Doug? They lost to Bama
Yeah,
on
they played
Saturday.
all right. All right. Tried a
Yeah,
late surge cover, didn't get there though.
right. I'm going to go with Pearl at home, -2.5 in Vandy. It's just been one of those spots for me that I've been going to. And it could be hit or miss, as you know, Doug, those, not saying blind spots, just playing it blind, but it's gotten there a little bit lately, these unranked teams against the ranked at home. Elsewhere, let's go. We got a lot to bounce around with. 6:30 p.m. East in the Horizon League. Let's take this one on. Milwaukee visiting IU Indy, IUPUI, whatever they want to call themselves this year. Milwaukee, the short road favorite, -2.5, 158.5 the total.
This league I've focused on here, the numbers come up a little bit. I think Milwaukee's the play. IU Indianapolis, IUPUI is just they're in last place for a reason. And this is a relatively short number. Milwaukee won by a dozen at home earlier. There's no reason to kind of think they're gonna. I mean, look, it's a home team. I get all that, but this is I think this is a better spot. I would have made this line 4.5. So I think there's some line value here. It's not a lot to go on. This league, there's been a couple teams at the bottom that are surging. IUPUI is not one of them. So I have to take the short number here on the road.
7-18 this year, IUPUI so far in the Horizon. Back to the ACC, number 15, Virginia, down to Tallahassee against Florida State. Virginia having a hell of a year, 20-3 now. They are -7.5, 152.5 the total.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. FSU's been pretty respectable at home, okay? But this Virginia squad is just rock solid in my eyes. And they've done some nice things here. I'm going to lay it here. I think there's just too much offense. I think they'll have their way offensively. 7.5 is a decent sized number. So it's a lean for me, but I think it's worth taking a look at. I think Virginia's had sort of in a groove now. Um, nobody's going to run the table, even Duke. We saw that. ACC, you can call it out and say it's bad or whatever, but it's really not. It's got a handful of ranked teams. I think Virginia's a pretty solid team. This is not Tony Bennett's Virginia where the offense is anemic. They took care of business against Syracuse and blew out Pitt, covered a big number. They've been on a roll since that scare against Notre Dame. They've won 4 straight, including that game, and losing to UNC, which Carolina played perhaps its best half of basketball in that second half.
Yep.
They, Virginia was in control at halftime, and then it was all heels second half. So I don't put that on UVA. I just give credit for UNC in that second half. So I like Virginia here. FSU's been good. They've been frisky in Tallahassee, but I like the Cavs a little bit.
Cavs -7.5 in Tallahassee against the Seminoles tonight. Staying in the ACC, I had this game circled as well for tonight, Doug, and that is Duke off the loss to North Carolina, now going to Pitt. This is the type of place you want to go after a tough loss and get yourself right. Duke minus, and it's a big number, 18.5, but Pitt is dreadful. Can we get a smash job tonight, Doug, for the Blue Devils in Pitt?
One would think. Now, you could say, hey, Doug, don't you say these things come in pairs and comes in twos and stuff? Yeah, but I think Pittsburgh's an exception. And I also think Duke's issues, if there is a giant issue, and because this goes back to the end of the tournament, last year is just shyer at the end of games in tight games, right? Protecting leads. I don't think that's going to be an issue here. At least I hope not, because the spread would obviously be decided. So I think that's the Blue Devils' issue. It's closing out small to medium leads late in games. And I think that won't be rear its ugly head here. Now, there's a chance that there's a little bit of a hangover in a negative way, right? We talked about Carolina winning the flat spot hangover. There is a chance where they're just like, oh, God, we should go play these guys. And they just think like they're not kind of up off the mat. They're not over that loss yet. That's a concern, and that's why I didn't play first half.
Okay.
So that's why I'm focusing on the full game, not a huge play, because there's a chance they play with their food and win by 12 to 15 here. But I think they're far superior. I think they should, if they want to flip the switch and take care of their business, that's what I think, how it gets done.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because 10.5 in the first half for Duke in this game. It's
Well,
yeah.
okay, well let's go back. So similar game, not completely, because Gonzaga was a 23.5 point favorite over
Right.
Portland, but they were in a tight game at the half. Their
Mm.
next game when they were favored by 17.5. Okay, so it wasn't like, oh, we lost. Now again, losing to Carolina on the road as a 5 point favorite is very different than losing as a 23 point favorite. But the next game, it wasn't all of a sudden let's rear to go out of the start. It was they did cover. Gonzaga flipped it on second half, covered the 17.5, won by 20, but it was a huge run in the second half. So I just am a little gun shy here on the first half.
There you go. Duke tonight at Pitt against the Panthers, who are horrible. Big 12, BYU. They've lost 4 in a row and 5 out of 6. They're still hanging on in the top 25. They're now down to 22nd in the country. They're 3.5-point road favorites in Waco tonight against Baylor. 158.5 the total.
So we keep waiting for Baylor to flip the switch, right? I did not believe it in the last game, although they can't, nice comeback in the second half. I just think something's wrong with this BYU in the first half. I think based on there's one number I'm not sure about, but I think they have failed to cover on the first half line in 8 straight games. And I just don't know what it is, right? Could be preparation, could be warm up, who knows? Could be just a trend, and 8 isn't a huge sample size. So I'm going to continue playing this. I think Baylor will be up for this game. BYU, you think, would be up for this game, but
I
I
mean,
mean, look, they had a nice run in the tournament. They're well coached. Nothing drastic there, but I'll take Baylor on the first half line for a small play just because this is a streak, and I backed it a little bit. So it's not like I'm taking a stab at it for the first time, but I just wonder what's wrong with this team in this regard.
Also in the Big 12, Oklahoma State, who got pounded in Tucson by Arizona over the weekend. Now they go to see Arizona State. And like I said, I remember telling you this Friday, I thought they played so well at home against BYU. I was surprised how poorly they played against Arizona. Now they're dogs here. Arizona State minus 2.5, 161.5 is the total. Got to be Arizona State here for me, Doug.
I think Okie State put a lot into that last game. That's sort of my approach to this. Now, I'm not a huge Arizona State backer.
No.
Frankly, I think since we've discussed games this year, I think every time I've mentioned ASU, I've been picking against them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think there's a disadvantage when Bobby Hurley's yelling at the refs all the time. And this Okie State team's played a lot better the back half of the season, but they just got drilled in Tucson. I think this could be a tough ask for a team. I like the trend and where this Pokes team is headed. Like I said, last handful of games, they've played much better. I actually liked them plus the points against Arizona. I thought it could be a look-ahead spot with the fog on deck. But I think it's too short of a number. I think ASU can get there.
Arizona State's been good to me. They were good to me in the 2 Arizona games, with obviously those big spreads that they were getting there. But every other time I've tried to back them this year, Doug, they've let me down in a big way. I remember that West Virginia game at home. That was the game where, wasn't that the game where Hurley afterwards was like, our home court stinks. Like, just no, there's no atmosphere. Nobody's here. Nobody comes to the games. I'm nervous. Like, the line, it says Arizona State to me, but I'm very nervous because of what they've done so far this season. They are 12-12 after all on the year. But a late night Mountain West, a Betting Weekly Live favorite for us here. Let's go San Jose State first. And they're dreadful. 6-17, but they're visiting UNLV tonight at the Thomas and Mack. Man, how bad are you if you're 12.5-point dogs to UNLV, Doug? Jeez.
Now, this running Rebels team, look, the ceiling is pretty high, right? They won at Grand Canyon, if I'm not mistaken, then definitely they won at Utah State, maybe at Boise. At Boise, they just beat Grand Canyon at home, that is, and then they won at Boise and at Utah State. But they blew a 9-point lead with 1:20 to go. In one game, I think that was Fresno. But in general, I think this is a buy low spot on San Jose State. They recently got their leading scorer back, and he's played 3 or 4 games, so it took a couple games to get the rhythm back. They've been shorthanded. I love Tim Miles as a coach. I think he's better than Pastner. And I mean, Ken Palm has this 10, okay?
Okay.
So, and Ken Palm doesn't really account for injuries and things like that. So the fact that they had 3 of their top 5 scorers out for so long, like, doesn't really factor into this. I just think this line should be like 9 or 8.5. So I think we're getting some line value here. San Jose State's covered 3 of 4, something like that, 4 or 5 maybe. And the Rebels, feeling themselves a little bit. The Rebels' offense is really inconsistent. So unless they're shooting lights out, I think we have a lot of opportunity here to keep this inside the number. And you get these Mountain West refs and hang around. I think this is it's a 9-point win, maybe 7-point win.
Darryl looking for the San Jose State over tonight. The over in that game, which is in the low 150s, I think I just saw there. So that's 151.5 for San Jose State. Maybe Darryl also means the team total for San Jose State. The other team that we like to pick on in the Mountain West late nights is Air Force. They are home for Colorado State tonight, minus 16.5 for the Rams, 134.5. Now that's a low total, 134.5.
So we're starting to understand the line value that we had a handful of games ago. I mean, we had much better teams laying similar numbers here at Air Force, and were winning by 40, right? Like the top teams in the conference, Utah State, New Mexico were laying 18, 19, and they were winning by 40. Now it's 16.5 with Colorado State. So now that makes sense, right? Like, this is what it should be. Falcons did not cover in their last game. Shocker. I didn't lay it because it was Aztecs, and their offense is so elementary, but they won by 30, and the spread was like 23. So I just think there's a tax here. I want no part of the Falcons in the points. I would lay it with Colorado State if I had to. It's a lean for me, but it's hard to not, because when the Falcons cover, they literally cover by a half to 1.5, 2 points kind of thing. And when they don't cover by 10 to 20. So I just think you have more. If it's a range, you really have a wider range to land a cover if you fade Air Force. I just don't think the market's going to ever get caught up, but at least it's headed there, and you are paying more of a tax, but I just don't think it's still the right number. I mean, it's Colorado State. They're not that great. They're on the road. They're off a win. It's not like they're off a loss, but I want no part of the Falcons here. Every time Air Force plays, I think we have to discuss it.
And I know we've also gone after Air Force a lot in the first half too. Done a little bit of that also with some of these bigger numbers. Is tonight a possibility for that as well?
Yeah, I mean, Air Force had a ridiculous back cover a week ago or so. So I just don't think that should skew you. You always want to play the larger sample size, 40 minutes versus 20 minutes. Maybe Air Force leaves its starters in a little longer, but when the line's here and not like 26 or something, because they were down 30. They were down 30 to Grand Canyon last Tuesday. It was 48-18 at half. And somehow the game landed 23 or 24. So, Air Force closed the game on a ridiculous run. I think Grand Canyon only scored like 3 points in the last 5 minutes or something. I mean, look, I'd lay it 8.5 before I took it, but I think we're okay. I think we're okay with the game line. But to be honest, that's a short first half line. With 16.5, usually you're looking at 10.5. So yeah, I would actually split it up. There's line value on the first half, 8.5. It should be 10.5 for a 16.5 point spread. The more I look at that.
Yeah, 8.5 for Colorado State in the first half on the road at Air Force. Let me just give you the other rank games so everybody knows what else is on the table here tonight. We'll see if there's any interest. It's a pretty big number for Houston at Utah, but Utah stinks, Doug. I mean, they're just so bad. I know it's enormous. I think 16.5 is where Houston is sitting at now. So I'm not looking to run and play Houston, Doug, but that is a pretty big number for them on the road.
Yeah, I think it's with the Cougars. It's kind of like I was talking about the Aztecs briefly a moment ago. It's just their offense and then the defense, right? Like their upside, Houston can blow them out by 50 if they want to clamp down on defense and score, because they have the capabilities. It's just you just don't know what you're going to get offensively with the Cougars very often, and defensively, like, will they have the intensity? But their mediocre effort should cover this number. I don't want any part of the Utes here. Even though Utah's given BYU a problem a couple times, that's a rivalry game, things like that. I'd lay it before I took it, but in no rush to play this game.
Iowa State's also a road favorite, a little smaller, 7.5 at TCU tonight. In that game, totals in about the 140 area for that. So Iowa State on the road. TCU's tough at home, but that's a palatable number for Iowa State, I would think, Doug.
So TCU gave Houston everything it could handle in a game, right? It landed 9. There was a technical to start the second half that proved to be the difference. The line was 8.5, landed 9. I would take the home dog if I had to. This Iowa State team, obviously, is such a different squad at Hilton.
Yeah.
But no need to play it. I mean, some of these teams are kind of hitting another groove, and I wonder if the Cyclones might be doing that, or at least poised to do that.
And the other one, I'm sure our man Max is going to the LSU game tonight where they're playing Arkansas. And this has gone down, right? Like, I think I saw 6 last night for Arkansas on the road, 4.5 now at Bet Rivers for the Hogs here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, it's tempting. You wonder if this is a sharp play, like just complete steam on the Tigers. Arkansas, such a better team on the road, at home than on the road. Probably, I mean, I say this a lot. It's basically broken record. I mean, you're gonna win more than you lose if you take the home dog here. But sometimes you're just gonna have egg all over your face. You're gonna lose by 20. And we're like, what was I thinking? Trying to get cute with this bad team at home. I know they stink. Blah blah blah. It reminds me of a lot of these national pundits who don't know anything about betting pick games in the playoffs in the NFL. And my favorite was when, Buffalo outlasts Jacksonville or something. And it's like, I should have known you don't take Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen. And it's like, okay. And then the next week they lose to Denver. And it's like, well, I thought you don't take Bo Nix over Josh Allen. What happened? It's like these stupid sort of like, confirmation bias, and just like it's not as simple as just choosing the better quarterback. It doesn't work like that. So in this case, like, if you give me 10 of these games, 3 of them, the home dog's just going to get blown out, right? Double digits. But 5, 6 of them, they're going to cover. And then the other one's going to be like the favorite wins at the buzzer, or we get a Clemson, Cal game, or whatever we got, Stanford game the other day, where they drive and cover and win by 2 instead of the 3.5.
Really good night in college basketball ahead for us here on Betting Weekly Live. It is February, and Bet Rivers has got you set up. February fun bet, tennis, soccer, basketball, whatever sport you're following right now, bet on it with a February fun bet. Betting Weekly and Bet Rivers have teamed up to give you a $10 bonus bet at Bet Rivers when you enter the bonus code BW201. That code again, BW201. Offer expires on February 15th. Must be 21. Eligible players only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. February fun bet here for us. Little update, by the way. Still 4-0 USA over Canada with 10 minutes to go in the third period. So, unfortunately, thought it'd be a little back and forth. United States came out and started scoring a bunch of goals, but Canada has not held up their end of the bargain for the over. So a nice 4-0 lead for U.S. We'll see if maybe we get lucky and can find a couple goals in the last 10 minutes of that game. Let's go to the NBA now, Doug, where we are getting closer to the All-Star break. Just a couple more nights of action before that. Does that say a 5? Do I see a 5-0 now? Did we just score?
Ooh.
Here we go. Now, the unfortunate thing is the empty net's off the table because it's 5-0. So they're not going to be in it. Well,
in the NHL, it's not.
You know what, Doug? You're right. Maybe I should just not say anything.
It definitely is.
Maybe I should just say nothing, and then they'll flash on the screen 6-0 in a moment, and we'll get the over 5.5. So let's hope. Maybe come on, Canada, chip in for one here in the last few minutes. Get a goal. Have a little momentum heading into your next game. NBA tonight, 4 games on a Tuesday night. We will start with NBA TV. Has the doubleheader. Usually it's NBC, right? But I guess obviously Olympics going on. They don't have it tonight. Clippers at Rockets. Let's start there this evening, as that is just after 8 o'clock East on NBA TV. Now, remember this. They're playing They play in back-to-back nights, right? Both games in Houston tonight and tomorrow. This evening, it's Rockets minus 8.5, 214 flat the total.
Yeah, really strange with these series. And again, we haven't typically, not to my knowledge, we have not found like a solid betting angle on these, at least in the game twos. What happened in game one if the first team was favored by 4 or more, blah, blah, blah. I will say this. You want a trend? I got a trend for you. Since the new year, we've talked about this Rockets offense, things along those lines. How about 17-4 to the under in Rockets games? That is something. And, Steven Adams was there for some of it. It is a team that I've said looks disinterested and is sort of waiting for the playoffs. At least that's the vibe I get from watching Durant. And I mentioned this yesterday. Now, it didn't come to fruition, but the Clippers playing without a point guard, I think that clogs the offense a little bit in theory. So I would lean under, if anything, in this game, but it's just not that high of a total, all things considered. 214 in today's NBA is not super high, but the Rockets, have such length. And I'm really curious to see how they guard Kawhi, right? You got Tari Eason, you got Amen Thompson, you got some dudes, some real strong wing defenders. And I think it's going to be really fascinating. The Clippers, very dejected after trading Zubac and Harden. They said, okay, Kawhi, blatantly was like, all right, we're punting on this season. They got blown out a couple games and then came to play. So I think they've turned the corner. They looked great on Sunday, at least Kawhi did in Minneapolis, just blowing them out. Here's my angle, and this is probably going to be my best bet unless I want to mess with the producers for the next 20 minutes. I really like this Kawhi Leonard rebounds prop. I think we found something here. We talked about Ty Jerome, right? That's what we were on a little bit of a run here with Ty. Kawhi Leonard over rebounds. Now, I would ladder it up. So I like the rebounds over. Now, why am I picking Kawhi Leonard? I think it's really pronounced in this game. So Zubac, I go over 6.5. That's fine. So since Zubac left, Kawhi's gone 8, 9 rebounds because Brook Lopez hangs around the three-point line a lot and is not a rebounder quite like Zubac. So he's got to help. Now, Derek Jones Jr. has helped a little bit, but Kawhi, everything's got to go through Kawhi. He's the guy right now. And I think the ball finds energy. He's got those huge hands. It's a good rebounder as it is. Now, they've already had 2 meetings this year. So I said, well, Houston has huge length, right? The tallest lineup in the league has Kawhi. Does he struggle getting rebounds? Earlier in the year, coincidentally, Zubac didn't play in one of the meetings. Kawhi had sufficient rebounds, 8 rebounds in both. So I'm like, okay. So it's not just like the Rockets get to hoard all the rebounds. And remember, this Rockets team leads the league in offensive rebounding percentage. And there was a joke, somebody in the league told me that there's sort of a joke around the league that they're like a hockey team. Like they put shots on net and they just look for rebounds. So just with all those offensive rebounds out there, I think Kawhi has to kind of help crash the boards here. So Houston can't get every offensive rebound, obviously. So I just think there's going to be rebounding opportunities, especially with a Rockets team that is going under a lot. They're missing, and they've hit a little bit of a wall, need the All-Star break. So I think Kawhi is going to just be an animal on the boards. I would look at double-double, things like that. His points prop's pretty high, and he's going to be in the 20s. I just think it's a sweat you don't really need to make. He's obviously been gunning. I think his worst shooting the last 5 games is against Sacramento of all teams. But I think his rebounds prop has significant line value without Zubac. I think that's the starting point. And then some of the matchup-driven angle here, Kawhi just being, the cyborg that he is. So I'd ladder it up. But double-double plus 525, I think that's really tempting, especially when the Clippers do commit to defense, right? Derek Jones Jr. is back. He's an incredible defender. And then Brook Lopez just hanging out in the three-point line. Kawhi's going to have to live in the paint a little bit more than he was with Zubac. And that's helping him just kind of gobble some boards. So I think there's a line value here until the market adjusts.
Let's go. And like Kawhi, I'm still scratching my head, Doug, at what the Clippers were doing, considering didn't they win like 16 out of 18 or 19 when they traded all those guys away?
It was salary cap saving.
Yeah.
Mathurin is a piece. Let's not sleep on that, right? He's an elite, top 10 pick. And it's just weird because Zubac is such a team-friendly contract. But Garland could be good, right?
Yeah.
Harden's been a joke in the playoffs. Let's be honest. You know, but could be one of those good trade for both teams. We'll see. The Clippers had some of these young guys that needed some opportunity, but
Mm-hmm.
it is strange. Maybe they flip Kawhi, who knows? But in the offseason or something. But I think we're gonna get some rebounds. Kawhi, I say we push the envelope here with the rebounds.
It's not the worst thing when you get Harden out of town either. It's never the worst thing.
One would think.
The later game on NBA TV, just after 10:30 East, the Spurs in Los Angeles against the Lakers. Lakers lost to the Thunder last night. And tonight, no Luka, no LeBron. So you get Spurs minus 12.5 in LA with a 223.5.
So the first thing I think of is the Austin Reeves props. Now, he just got back from injury. So in terms of the line, like, I don't know. It should be Spurs all day. If we remember when these two teams played part of the NBA Cup, the Spurs went zone or they went underneath every high pick and roll and were basically facing Marcus Smart to make every three. And the Lakers offense just went, clunked. And so I think there's opportunity here for a Spurs blowout, but it's a big number. And, I just talked about it earlier when a team's out, like with Darren Peterson. I mean, the Spurs are sort of a machine and they don't sort of relax, but they're capable of relaxing. Let's be honest. They're human. I think the Lakers could really, that sort of young gun, that team. I just think it's Spurs are the wrong team. You want a team that's going to take them lightly, like Minnesota or something like that. But Austin Reeves, back in the starting lineup, I'm assuming for this game, and he's just typically going to produce a lot of numbers. So I would look at Reeves, just all the props, points, rebounds, assists. He's going to have to go off. So when they repost, they being Bet Rivers, they'll repost, and we'll get some looks from Austin Reeves.
Reeves out too now. Reeves added to the list. Unbelievable.
Okay.
That just came over.
Wow.
Just Reeves out too. So no Reeves, no LeBron, no Luka.
I think you lay it, but I'm sure the line's going to go up. I mean, the Lakers got to be punting on this game, right? They're starting five's like out.
Yeah.
They have Dallas on Thursday at home, and then the All-Star game is in LA. Okay. So, no traveling. I think they're going to be all hands on deck for that Thursday game to beat Dallas. I think they're punting on this game. I mean,
what can you do? I mean,
the line's 12.5. I mean, who do the Lakers have? They're going to have a lot of Kennard, Laravia, Rui. Rui should go off. Jackson Hayes around the rim, but I mean, there's still Wemby. I mean, Ayton might play. Marcus Smart, I guess, is out. So a lot of Nick Smith Jr., and he can get buckets. So I'm curious to see what Nick's. I think we're going to see a lot of Drew Timme, unfortunately. So Drew Timme and Maxi Kleber. Lakers got like 7 white guys. So I think they're all going to be playing in this game, although a couple of them are out, right, with Reeves and Luka.
Well,
but there's a lot with Timme and oh God, Kennard now. And
look, I just went to look. Obviously, they don't have they will probably in a little while. Right now, all the Lakers stuff's down on Bet Rivers in terms of the
I'm surprised 12.5 is
like
the number. I got to be honest.
Lakers, the skeleton of the Lakers tonight at home against the Spurs. Not much out there for them. Here's from Steve. Do you take much stock in a defense versus position when trying to find the player props, or you look for a fishy line and then try? So any defense versus position. I know positions matter less in the modern NBA, but stats and trends can be your friend. There from Steve.
Well, it's a good question. It's a very good question, especially in today's modern NBA when everyone switches. Okay, so that's the first thing that comes to mind with this, and that's what Steve pointed out. But I will say there's definitely defensive concepts when teams pack it in, go underneath screen, all that stuff. I definitely look at how they defend the 3-point line and how they defend certain threes. I think, or certain positions. I think we have to know schematically how teams do. So position matters. Everything's part of it. But is this, I mean, when you look at other teams like the shooting guard and the small forward may have different positions. Also, so much of their defensive assignments carry over into how much they score on offense. So if somebody's guarding SGA, and they're probably not as much of a focal point on the offensive side of things. So that's a different assignment than having to guard like a very, mediocre point guard the next night. So that's why the stuff's pretty hard. I use more of matchup sort of game log, like how this team fared head to head. Remember, I was talking about
Right.
Kawhi against Houston, the two previous meetings. That matters to me versus like how opponent shooting small forwards fare rebounding against the Rockets this season. I think that matters more because Kawhi is not just a small forward. He's a great rebounding small forward. I think all of this is part of the equation. And in the NBA nowadays, with everything switching and positionless basketball, I think it's a great question. I think I think it matters more in like football, right? You're like, oh, tight ends against this team or running backs out of
Yeah.
the backfield receptions. I don't think it's as applicable in the NBA here.
Two other games tonight. The Knicks are at home for the Pacers. Right now, -12 for the Knicks. 225 flat at Bet Rivers. The Knicks, I know they're going to be without a couple. Well, OG is still game time, so we don't know about OG yet. But there's obviously tons of Pacer guys out too, Doug, as there's been all year.
I, man, I really want to drop the hammer on the Knicks. I'm not going to because it's the week of the All-Star break. We touched on it yesterday. You just don't know. Now the Pacers are playing the Nets, so maybe a little New York flu here.
Mm.
And the Knicks are just so much better. Now Josh Hart was sort of the secret sauce, right? When he was out, they weren't playing well. He's going to play, but OG Anunoby unlikely to play in my eyes. Now New York, 7-5 straight up without him, but they're 5-6-1 ATS. But
Yep.
most of those were in November or October. Yeah, November. So like I'm going to throw those out, right? It's just not. It's more about recent form without OG. But the fact that they like are about 500 without him, I'm okay. It's all about Josh Hart and things like that. Indy has just been terrible. They're like 3-22 on the road. As for ATS, they're 9-16,
Mm.
including 9-14 ATS as a road dog. So that's what now, if they were like around 500, it'd be like, okay, this Pacers team, I mean, the tank of Palooza right now across the NBA is really bad. I mean, we have the Jazz not playing their starters in the fourth quarter. We're having now they still won yesterday in Miami, but we're having certain teams. I think the Pacers with this trade for Zubac and obviously Halliburton, I think they're all about next year. It's a loaded draft. We know the star power at the top. So I just think the Knicks could sort of boat race them. But a lot depends on if Neesmith plays. If he plays, that's a factor here. Now he's questionable. So it's going to be a lot of Siakam, a lot of Nebhard. McConnell's also questionable. So, I mean, these are big pieces that when you're trying to cover double digits, but I just think the Knicks have such a higher ceiling. And I think the Pacers, we've touched on it, like they go through 4-minute stretches where they're just putrid. So I think the Knicks cover, but these are my concerns coming into this one. I have a feeling the Knicks are going to smoke them.
And the Knicks do have 19-8 ATS at home, best home ATS record in the NBA. So they haven't been great on the road covering the number, but at home, the Knicks have been very good, even with some big numbers like this, like they have against the Pacers here tonight. And our other game is the Mavericks in Phoenix against the Suns, -8.5 for the Suns, 229 flat.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought of is just the Suns because they're so good. They're one of the best teams, ATS, if not the best team in the entire NBA. ATS. I just haven't gone through the standings recently. So they're a team I like to bet on. We've touched on it. And they're also a team that's great off a loss. Now they're off 2 losses. So that is, concern, that's even more reason, but they're 14-7 ATS off a loss. So I just think the Dallas team's okay. Cooper Flag at full strength, and then some of these other guys. When they have Najee Marshall, Washington and Gafford, like they're okay, right? Like the guard plays fine with Christie and Brandon Williams and Tyus Jones. Like those are some nice pieces. The problem is Phoenix is just really tough to guard, and they bomb threes, and they can go on these ridiculous runs. Although Grayson Allen's out, that's obviously a factor here. But Booker's back recently. So I lean Phoenix here. This could be Dallas. I mean, again, we talk about this week. Dallas they're in Phoenix, so they're headed west, right? They got LA on Thursday against the Lakers and then the All-Star break. So this could be where the senioritis kicks in. And the Suns off back-to-back losses, I think they're going to be pretty focused. They've been fairly reliable this year, buttoned up. Dylan Brooks, Booker, nice leadership here. Love their coach. If there's going to be a team that lays an egg, I think it's the Mavs. Not saying one has to do it. Saying if one of them does, it's going to be the Mavs. And 8.5 is a little bit of a tax, so that's giving me a little caution. But I do like the Suns a little bit here.
Yeah, Suns at home minus the 8.5, and the Mavs, of course, as you mentioned, they got to play still Thursday night against the Lakers on the road. And to finish the NBA, yesterday you said you would do a little digging on the sixth man of the year. We had the Naz Reid question come up. Well, I got to ask you, what'd you find?
Much. I actually think Naz Reid should be more of a favorite. So the other people don't really have really good cases at all. And Naz Reid, it's not what I don't know if there's going to be voter fatigue for this award. I mean, remember Jamal Crawford won this a bunch. So I think Naz Reid should be like plus 125, 110. Just looking at some of the long shots, Grayson Allen, he's out. He's only gonna play like 60 something games. So that's concerning. Hardaway Jr. is just not really putting it together in Denver. Simons has bounced around too much. Isaiah Stewart might be suspended for the rest of the season for all we know. In terms of the left column, I like Reed Shepherd, but he's so bad defensively, and he's too many games where he scores like 8 points and 6 points. AJ Mitchell's the one guy that I think could be nice. He's on OKC, obviously higher profile. He's been very good. I mean, to the point where there's been some broadcasters during games that call him a sixth starter, so to speak. Keldon Johnson he's a very nice player. Remember, he's an Olympian. He's just a little lost in the Spurs rotation and doesn't get the rock enough. They have just so many guys like him that I think his stat production is just nothing special, even though he's a nice player. Jaquez, certainly interesting. I think it's Mitchell or Reed, but this award has certainly had guys make pushes, not that they're campaigning, but have had huge second halves where I think you got to be on standby here. If some guy starts to get warm, you don't want to just chase the box score for one night, but you have to keep an eye on things because there could be a push for, with voter fatigue and everything. But Naz Reid's a really nice player. Minnesota's been shaky this year, that's for sure. They're not, there's not a lot of buzz, but I mean, Naz Reid's the guy who closed the year so strong in previous years. I think he's your guy right now. I would think AJ Mitchell, but the injury leaves a lot to be desired. But right now, Naz Reid's averaging over 14 points, over 6 rebounds. He's hitting 2.5 threes a game. He's a big piece of what they're doing, and they can go small ball lineup and put Gobert on the bench. So I think there's line value there. But again, I'm not going to bet it, but I do think he's like, if there's betting value, that's where it is. And I think AJ Mitchell's really the only guy that can catch him. And yes, we have in the chat, only 30 games left.
Yeah, this is not like we're at the halfway. Like the All-Star break comes a lot, way well past the halfway point. You really just have a stretch to the finish here. Flag clinched Rookie of the Year, right? No, yeah, I would think so, right, Doug? Flag is clinched.
Well, it's just games played, right? I mean, that's the key here.
Yeah.
I forget which awards do not factor that in. I think 6-man or something. So which NBA awards don't have a minute?
Yeah.
Because that's the key. Because that's why you don't want to lay big chalk, even parlays and stuff like that, because freak injuries, right?
You can get burned on that. Because he's missed a couple games already. I mean, not in the Joker Wemby area, but he's missed a couple games. Flag so far this season. While you get that, Doug, I will tell everybody.
Rookie of the Year does not have the 65 game minimum.
Ooh, okay. So there you go.
Okay. And 6-man. I was right.
Okay. Well,
and in case you're wondering, Coach of the Year as well.
So, all NBA, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, those ones, you got to make sure that you have the correct amount of games. So 4 games tonight in the NBA, and BetRivers does have for you NBA Midweek Live Profit Boost. Players can log in to BetRivers and will receive an NBA Live Profit Boost upon each login on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. See your BetRivers app or website for full details. NBA Midweek Live Profit Boost. All right. Hockey. Olympic hockey, by the way, it's over 5-0. We come up short with the ladies. Canada just didn't. They didn't help, and I know they had one of their best players, Poulin, didn't play, and she was out today. But still, they have enough firepower where they shouldn't be getting shut out. So the U.S. got on their side, Doug, but we couldn't get the Canada side to help us get across that 5.5 this afternoon. The men will start tomorrow. Let me ask you this from this standpoint, trying to bet this. These are obviously the two best teams, the United States and Canada. USA right now is plus 195 to win the gold medal. Canada is plus 115 to win the gold medal as we sit here before the men start getting going. Sometimes I think you can get yourself a little too cute. I was reading about how the exact format works. Is there a way that we could bet these, one of them to win the bronze if they slip up, things like that? I'm just not so sure that I want to go there, Doug, because I think Sweden could maybe be a problem, but I don't think there's anyone on the level of these two teams. So I don't know if I want to get cute with all these little alt markets for if one of them slips up.
So what's the bracket going to look like if Sweden advances? Do they have to beat both of those teams?
Well, here's how. Basically, the top 4 are going to get a bye to the quarterfinals. There's 3 groups with 4 teams apiece in the 3 groups. So you have the 3 group winners that will get the bye, and then a 4th team with the highest point total, and then whatever the other tiebreakers are, goal differentials, goals scored, etc. So if Sweden wins their group, they are going to play one of United States and Canada, barring both of them winning their groups as well. In the quarters, they're going to have to play them. Now, playing them once you get to the quarterfinals, into that round there, the semis is where the first time they'd have to beat them. So they'd have to beat them both, Doug, you figure, because if let's say Sweden's the 3 and Canada is the 2, they'd have to beat them, and then potentially the United States as the 1 in the gold medal game. So they're going to have to play them both to get to the end, unless one of them screws around in the group play, which I don't think they will. The United States has a real easy road, to be quite honest with you. They've got in their group Germany, Denmark, and Latvia. I'm going to talk about Germany in a minute, but still, that's pretty easy. Canada has the Czech Republic in there, who's tough. Switzerland can be a little tough. And France, who's the lowest seeded team. So barring USA and Canada not screwing up, they should be the 1 and 2 seeds when we get in terms of the medal round time.
Yeah, I don't think there's any line value here with Sweden. If you have to go through both of those teams and win another game, come on.
Yeah.
Plus 550 is nothing. Don't get trapped. I would say, sometimes the market's right, and that's okay. Now, if you have an angle on something and you think there is, then fine, by all means. But in terms of the futures, I don't think there's, great line value in this regard. Look, we're not going to have a miracle on ice because of the geopolitical implications, but are any of these absolute long shots have any shot?
Well, here's the 2 that I was going to show you, and it's not even for the
Switzerland.
Gold. It's not even for the gold medal, honestly. I'm not going to play any of these teams for the gold. Having to beat multiple of these teams, I think, is very tough. Now, I have a few teams that maybe could beat one of them and maybe get some decent draws. This Germany team is not bad from this aspect. I'll tell you 2 things I like about Germany. They have Leon Draisaitl, who's one of the best players in the world, as we know, with the Edmonton Oilers. And they have a pretty good goalie in Grubauer, who's an NHL goalie who knows all these guys. This is not going to be difficult for Grubauer stepping in and playing on the international stage. Germany is in the United States group. They're going to lose to the United States. But if they can beat the other 2 teams, Denmark and Latvia, maybe by margin, and have a nice goal differential, what if they slip into the 4th slot as the 4th seed that gets the double bye? Then they avoid the 3 heavies in the quarters. And if they can beat whoever it is, a Finland or a Czech, and they're in the final 4, I think they'd lose. And we can get them in a bronze medal game where Germany to finish 3rd, 45-1, to finish 4th, 10-1. It's just some juicy long shot numbers that I think they're good enough that if they can get into those last 4, not win the gold or get in the gold medal game, I'm looking for these long shots, Doug, to play for the bronze. That's kind of where I'm zeroing in on them.
Gotcha. Okay. I like it. That's a good angle. 45-1's always going to capture my attention. I'm in on that.
And I'll give you the same angle that I just gave you, the same reasoning for the Czech team. If the Czech team ends up being the best he's the 4th seed and they're the best second place team, they've got Pasternak who could score, they've got Nasius, they've got Hurdle, they've got some good goalies with Dostal and the kid from Utah as well. For them to finish 3rd is 13-1, to finish 4th is plus 650. So those are the two teams that I'm kind of going to zero in on to maybe either catch an upset or catch a good seed, and they can get into, at minimum, the semis and into a bronze medal game where those big numbers will then come into play. So the Czechs and Germany for me.
Right. All right. I like the payouts. How can you not?
Well, because I want to have a little fun. I mean, listen, I'm rooting for the United States to win gold at plus 190. I would love to see them win the gold, but I think that we have some things here. Finland to medal is plus 140-ish. Steve is right. And listen, Finland, they're probably the 4th team there. And Slovakia, they're not one of the better teams. So Finland minus 1.5. Steve's already going after that. Most goals in the tournament, Doug. I got a couple fun ones for you here too. I'm going to play the very top chalk at 7-1 with McKinnon because he is the best player in the world in terms of goal scorer. McDavid's the best player, but McKinnon's going to do more of the scoring. McDavid's going to do more of probably the passing on that. And then I'll give you a bomb. Jake Gensel at 40-1 to score the most goals in this tournament. I think he's going to be the guy driving the offense for the USA team. They don't have as much offensive firepower as Canada. Now, they got some good names, there's no doubt. Eichel, the Tkachuk brothers, Hughes, who's a little banged up, so I'd be worried about him. But Gensel's going to be sitting right in front of that net on every big power play. He's going to be playing with Eichel on the second line. Gensel is a little fun bomb play at 40-1 to score the most goals in this tournament.
Like it. You have my attention at 40-1. And again, there is that fine line of maybe getting the top scorer who's clearing away the top scorer for a team that might bronze.
Right.
And then you can maybe get the, cannibalization with the teams that go to the gold medal game. So maybe there's an angle with one of those guys, but I like the top scorer for US here.
Well, I think that's a good one to look at as well. And if that's the case, who are we looking at? I'd be looking at Draisaitl. I'd be looking at Pasternak, like for them Germany and the Czech teams. If you think that they can make,
that's
like
what
I
I'm
do.
talking about.
And because remember, they make the bronze game, they're going to play the same amount of games as USA and Canada, even though they're not playing for gold. And it's also a potential one of those teams comes from the extra round of playoff, the qualification round, and has to play even one more game if they don't finish in the top 4. So you're talking about an extra game if they make the bronze medal game. So also not a bad angle. Could you guys throw that back up, the top goal scorer? I think you had the whole sheet up there, at least the chalk at the top. Where is Draisaitl? 20-1, and Pasternak's 14-1 on that list. So, and listen, the Finnish guys, Rantanen 13-1. Finns could be a 5 and have to play the extra game, and they're good enough to make the bronze medal game. So that's a great angle, Doug. Thinking about guys who could maybe play in that bronze from those secondary teams to score the most goals.
And if it's anything like the World Cup, some of those 5th place, like those games can be high scoring. And whereas you might get a 3-2 game in the gold medal game, things like that.
I'll give you
again. We're looking at big long shots here.
Yeah, and scenario for you. Let's say Germany's the 5, and they play Italy in the extra qualification round knockout game. They might win that game 9-1, and Draisaitl scores 5 goals. And then I mean, there's whoever gets that extra game with Italy might be able to pile them up if they can make a bronze medal game or make it into the semi. So. There are definitely some other ways to play than just rooting for USA for the gold. I'll give you 2 others that I'm doing. Tkachuk to score more goals than Reinhart at plus 105 and Gensel to score more than Crosby at plus 110. Those were some fun ones that Bet Rivers had, kind of teammates against teammates in terms of scoring more goals in the tournament for us. But I'm ready. USA and Canada don't play till Thursday, Doug. So I know Finland and Sweden start the tournament tomorrow. Finland, of course, playing Slovakia, as we mentioned before. And you're going to have Sweden taking on Italy. And I think that the puck line's like 5.5 in that game. Doug, if you want to lay 5.5 pucks with Sweden against Italy tomorrow morning to
Maybe.
start.
Not in a rush, but
why not? There you go. I'm excited, as you can tell. for the hockey here. Betting Weekly Live, before we give you the daily double and the best bets for tonight, make sure you subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. You can check us out and all of our other shows, including released earlier today, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Join Nigel Seeley and Sean Calvert as they share their best bets for round 2 at both ATP Rotterdam and ATP Dallas. So check out Nigel and Sean, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. All right, Doug, let's do it. Best bets, daily double. We've been hot. 5 out of 6, 2 in a row, going for 3. I'm going with the Hurricanes tonight against the Tar Heels. Tar Heels off a huge win against Duke. Very short favorite on the road against Miami, who really needs a big win. They haven't beaten anybody significant this year. Give me Miami tonight, plus the 1.5 at home against the Tar Heels.
All right, I mentioned it. The only question was which number was I going to choose? And it's going to be Kawhi over 6.5 rebounds. We've been a little juicy the last couple of days. No need to do this because I'm going to play it straight. It's a little plus money. Okay. Let's get some payout here. And it's quite the juicy payout on the daily double. I just think the market hasn't adjusted to Kawhi playing without Zubac. And against the Rockets, it's amplified even more because there's just a lot of rebounds to be had. I think he'll be good. I think he'll be at 8, 9, 10 kind of rebounds. So over 6.5. Let's roll with that for the best bet of the day.
All right, Kawhi Leonard over 6.5 rebounds, and the Miami Hurricanes plus 1.5 against North Carolina at home. Plus 283. We're feeling ourselves a little bit on this hot streak. 5 out of 6. We're looking to put the foot on the gas here a little bit. Plus 283 for Miami and Kawhi over 6.5 boards. All right, Doug. Tremendous job as always. Of course, we are back tomorrow, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific. Betting Weekly Live on a Wednesday. We have got, I think, 14 games in the NBA on Wednesday nights. The last big night before the All-Star break. There's only a couple games Thursday, so we have a full slate there. We'll look at the game lines for those USA and Canada openers in the Olympics on Thursday. We'll have those. I think I got the golf tomorrow too, Doug. Pebble Beach this week. We have.
A snub Goddard up again, or are you going to finally go back to the what?
I can't believe I didn't play Goddard up last week. He's been so good to me.
Twisting the knife.
Doug. Yeah, all right. So we'll do all that tomorrow. Betting Weekly Live. Have a great night. Enjoy the games, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.